can comment over here, huh?
Uh-huh. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Babes Who Brand. We are on episode 2, and I am joined by awesome lady who is also in the space of business and branding, my friend Kae Whitaker. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I've been so excited about this conversation and just this project in general with the different women that I have lined up to really have some candid conversations around business and branding, because I just feel like, a lot of times that's missing in the space of what we do. And so I do want to share with people in case they're not familiar with you.
Okay.
Wow, don't know, but they will be today, who you are. And so Kae Whitaker is the owner and CEO of Kae Whitaker Solutions. With over 10 years of experience in retail sales and marketing development, Kae now focuses on helping small businesses stay competitive in their respective market and surpass their revenue goals. She's worked with some of the nation's largest retailers and has now taken her experience in retail sales and marketing development to create her premium coaching programs that help small business owners tune into what matters most in their marketing efforts, streamline their processes, and maximize on their clientele. Her highest achievements come through helping others reach their goals, and would love the opportunity to help you take your brand to the next level. So I'm excited to have you here. And one thing I said in the very first episode that I did, where I didn't have any guests, is that I'm really bringing women to this platform that want to understand the need for collaboration, that stand strongly in their own space of knowing that they know their stuff, right? So I'm not bringing y'all anybody that I don't, believe really knows their stuff in regards to business and branding. And so if you were to work with any of these women that I bring to the platform, you'll be doing the thing. So I'm just letting you know in advance. So with this, just in normal fashion for me, if people are familiar with me, they know I like to always read the bio, but I still like to allow people to tell the world who they are in their own words. So who is Kae?
Every time I hear that bio, because I use the same one everywhere, there is something else that pops up. How are you doing that? See, y'all, I'm gonna have to learn something today.
So she's new to Blab, y'all. So we are.
I am. I think I've done one other Blab. But I am in enough places everywhere else that my mind is just super occupied. So I thought that's pretty cool. But anyways, and I got a little ADHD. So all this commenting and sharing and stuff going on, y'all, it's got me everywhere.
But just to let you know, how you give props is you can't give yourself props. But like if you put your cursor over my picture and just start clicking, it'll give me props.
Like that. Okay.
So anytime somebody likes what you say, they give you props. So.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry. Got a little distracted. So my name is Kae Whitaker, and I am the owner and the principal designer for Kae Whitaker Solutions, which is a luxury branding and design studio that's here in Houston, Texas. I work primarily from my home, but I do office with about 5 other staff members, 2 designers, a couple of social media helpers, and we together help business owners that are in the creative space build, design, and refer brands of their dreams. So anything that I talk about as far as branding is concerned, it's not just related to the look and the visual design of their brand. It talks about them as a whole. So when we talk about holistic people, we talk about holistic brands, and I try to make sure that we're capturing all of that. So we're talking sales, we're talking procedures, we're talking marketing practices, as well as what that visually looks like. So that's in a nutshell who I am, outside of that wonderful bio that you read. Dark? I feel like it's dark.
Awesome. So, like I said, my whole point for this is to really have some candid conversations. So I'm letting everybody know now, because I know Kae's personality as well as mine is about to be some real conversation taking place on today. So that's even darker.
I know. Goodness gracious. This will being lazy get you. Okay, there we go. So light.
So one of my first things that I want to talk about is what do you think is the biggest challenge that a lot of women in business, starting their businesses out, in fact, in the realm of not understanding what true branding means. Because I feel like a lot of, even though people are watching experts and all these things, but I just know when clients come to me and when I start talking to them about everything that's about to be happening, they're all everyone is like, I didn't know it was all of that,
Mm-hmm.
So what is the number one misconception you think that women entrepreneurs have about branding?
I think the number one thing is that we think that it's only about the visual. So when people come to me, when a lot of my clients come to me, and granted, I don't deal particularly with startups, but I have worked with some startups, but even my seasoned entrepreneurs, when they come, they always felt like their brand was just their logo or their mark. And I always have to be the bearer of bad news and say, hey, it's just a mark. It doesn't mean anything. Like it without the substance behind it, it doesn't mean anything. So I have to teach them and educate them about what branding really means. So like you said, when we start talking about messaging, and what they want, what type of feeling they want to evoke, what type of practices they want to have with their clients, what type of price point are they trying to command based off of their branding, what's their values, what are their beliefs, what are the beliefs of their clients, that just totally goes like over their head, because their first thought is that their branding is the visual thing that you're going to see. And it is, but it's the last piece of the process. The first part of branding is really understanding who your customer is so that you can communicate with them in a pretty way that helps them to relax, relate, and sell and buy your product or service.
Right. It's so funny because even though, I often talk about the visual piece, in a lot of my, social media posts and all that, I always laugh because when people come to work with me and they find out that they're not going to actually get to the visual part until like 2 months after we started working together, they're always like, well, wait a minute. I thought I was going to pick some pretty colors and, some create a gorgeous logo and I was going to be off and running. And I'm like,
not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Right. Because, for me, I really feel like the brand is the personality of the business. And there's so much strategy, that goes into it. And I think that is what a lot of women and just people in general in business don't really understand. But I think it's more so with us because we like the pretty and we like, the visual pieces of everything. And though that's important, I don't want to downplay it, but it's still, like you said, just a piece of it, right?
Right. And I think what's really important is that we remember that it's about our customers. So a lot of times when my customers come to me, they're trying to pick something that, of course, it needs to speak to who you are, but it's all about them. It's very one-sided. And I'm like, hey, what about the people that are going to buy from you? Like, what do they feel? What are the things that they like? And having that conversation with them, most times they don't know. And that's from the newest to the youngest. They don't have a real idea of what that looks like. So taking them through that process is kind of a shocker for people because they're like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this work. And the answer is yes, we have to do that before we can design. I'm so sorry.
Right. This is a co-creative environment, right?
It is. Very much so.
And so that's funny because when I tell them they have homework and I'm like, here's your book. These things, they're like, wait a minute. I ain't know I was gonna have to dig this deep.
Yeah, you are.
Right. Which brings me to one of my favorite topics, which is client attraction. Right. Mm-hmm. And just even the misconception with that, I think a lot of people focus in on the demographics, aspect of it in regards to age, gender, your basic things when it comes to demographics. But we know it's so much more than that. So before I interject how I feel about it, of course, I want to hear what your thoughts. I know we're in alignment on this, but
first question always comes to mind is, what problem are you solving?
Right.
What's the problem that your audience is dealing with? What are some of the things that they struggle with, and how does your product or service fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to know that first. And before I can go, and again, they're like, that has something to do with design. I'm like, yeah, because if your customer is sad, then we can't use sad colors. Like, we gotta do something else.
Right.
And that's very basic, but it's what's the problem and how does your service or product fix that problem? And how does it make them feel after they've done it, after they've used your product or service, and what are they going to be able to accomplish once they've utilized your product or service? So they're like, oh my God, that's a lot of information. I'm like, yep. It is, but it's worth it. And it helps because your design will then be in alignment with whatever marketing message it is that you're trying to put out. And it makes it a lot easier for your customers to consume what it is that you're putting out when you understand what they're dealing with and can design to their problems.
Right. And one of the things that I talk about that I know, I guess I haven't really seen a lot of people discuss this aspect of it, but I think it's too important when you're talking about your clients and creating that client attraction, is really to understanding not only just the problem, but what is the personality of the people that you really want to reach, because how you speak to different personality types is going to vary, So one of the things I talked about with just the other day with one of my clients, I said, even if you were so specific to say, this is the issue, it's happening to 35-year-old single women that live in, urban America, blah, blah, blah. That seems very specific. But once you throw in the personality aspect of it, and I guess I'm a Carl Jung, freak. So this is my nerd hat is coming on. But,
okay. Go there. I love it.
But when you really think about it, when you look at people that are driven by success compared to people that are driven by relationships, or someone that is driven by competition, how you speak to those people is very different in your, in your marketing and in your messaging. And so I feel like it's very important that those types of things be thought about as well. I mean, and I don't think that a lot of people do that. And so they still feel like they're talking to this specific person, but they're really not, right? Because they're leaving that out.
You talked about demographics, and demographics are very good, but I think you said it best. Like, we go those basic demographics. They're 35 years old, they're this, they're that. And a lot of times when we're going through our assessment, because I start every client with an assessment, I'm like, okay, what are their shopping habits? Are they purchasing based off of price, or are they purchasing based off of product and value in that product? What are some of the other brands that they shop with? If they were going to buy a pair of shoes, who are they going to buy them from? Because we need to look at that as well. What are their spending habits like? Are they fine diners? Do they like to travel? What are some of the things that they like to do in their free time? Because that gives you insight into how people like to spend their money, but it also gives you insight into what they're attracted to. So if you're a retail brand and you sell retail clothing, and one of your top competitors is somebody like Nordstrom Rack or Zara or something like that, then you can go back and look at those brands and find commonality within those brands and figure out how to slide your brand in there so that it's familiar for your customer, so that it's something that your customer can relate to, and that you can attract the same type of response from your customer that they would give to a customer if they were paying like $125 for some shoes at Nordstrom Rack. So it's really understanding their buying habits. And that is a part of their demographics. How much money do they make? Did they go to school? Are they college graduates? What type of degree if they're college graduates? Are they professionals? Do they work? Are they entrepreneurs? Like, what type of environment are they in? Just like you said, so you can speak their language, because if I'm a single mother with 3 children and I'm working 2 or 3 jobs, I'm not going to speak the same language that somebody that's married with children that doesn't work at all has to speak in order to receive the message. So that's really, really good.
I think so too. What is one of the things that you feel like makes it so hard for business owners to really grasp this? Because I feel like people are really challenged in this area around client attraction, and and having to niche, right? Because everybody always comes and wants to talk to everybody because they feel like they don't want to close no doors. But what do you really feel like in your experience is the issue around people not wanting to do that?
I think a part of the problem is that we're afraid we're going to miss something. We feel like we have to cast this humongous net because we can help everybody. And the reality of it may be that your service or product can be of help to a vast majority of people, but you've got to be specific. You've got to be specific. If you talk directly, and I'll say this, if you're not talking directly to one person, you're not speaking to anybody. Nobody's going to know who you're talking to. The person that your message is intended for is not going to receive it. So speak to them. And the art of that is speaking to them in a way that where not only they can receive it, but making sure that if somebody else that just happens to land on you, that you're professional, that you are well put together so that you're still attractive to them. And they may go, oh, she really knows her stuff. She really understands her customer. I wonder if she can help me. So it's not that you're going to miss them. It's just that you have to speak the language of that one person, because if not, then you're not talking to anybody and nobody's going to understand what you're trying to put out.
Right. And it's so amazing to me that people have such a hard time with that concept. And even people that have been doing business, for a while, I get clients that come in to me that have been in business for a while, but maybe they never actually really truly branded before or put the effort into it. And so now they're like, okay, I need to take it to the next level and do this, type of thing. And so when I tell them, so often what I tell them to try to ease them through this process is to say, who's your favorite customer? Like, for people that already have customers, like, who's that one customer that you're more excited to talk to them than they probably are to talk to you? Talk to that person,
Right.
Do your messaging as though you are talking to that person with what they will relate to and what they would get out of it, and and go from there. We have comments in the chat, and Stevie shared Facebook has done an incredible job on helping us hone in on people, which is true with a lot of their targeting that they now offer, especially through Facebook ads and that type of thing. And then she in regards to talking about narrowing in on your client, she said it comes from a lack and scarcity mindset, and not out of abundant thoughts that their custom design niche will be there. And I think it's so true. But when you try to tell them that, they don't want to believe that.
And when people come to us, they come with the idea that they're going to stay where they are. So a lot of times I have to coach the clients that you're coming to invest in it, not to be in the same place where you are tomorrow. This is about growth. This is about scaling. This is about expansion. So if you can't get your thoughts out of the right now, then how in the world do you expect your customers to be drawn into you? You have to think like the place where you already want to be. You have to be thinking 5 or 10 places ahead of you so that you can show up like that, and that the people that are already there will receive you. And sometimes when you do rebrand, sometimes you do feel like you'll feel a slump before you go back into it. And it's just retraining your audience to understand the message, and be grateful for the slump, because the slump is followed by an incredible increase that will propel you into your goal. So I absolutely agree with that scarcity mindset, because we're thinking as if we're going to stay right where we are. And if you're going to stay right where you are, then I don't need to, it's a waste of money to come to me for me to do anything for you. Right.
Because, where you're at right now, you're fine with what you got, because that's how you got there, right? So a lot of people don't get that. So I want to ask everybody that's in the chat, we had some new people come in and join us. Make sure that you're telling the bird and that you're posting it on Facebook and letting people know that we're having real great conversation going in on Babes Who Brand right now with our special guest, Kae Whitaker. And so there's just so many things to talk about. And when I first started, came up with the idea to do this was one of the things that I was like worried about, because I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? It's just branding and business is so vast.
Mm-hmm.
But I love just how the conversation ends up kind of molding itself. And that's why people keep asking me, you got some questions to send me? I'm like, no, like we're just gonna have candid conversation. Allow it to develop, because I think that people get more truth and are able to get more nuggets that they can really pull when two experts just sit down and chat. It's kind of like the inside look of what would be happening if we were drinking tea, which I am, because I'm not feeling good, y'all. But yeah, so I definitely want to talk about business. And I know a lot of times when we discuss branding, people don't realize that, there is the business component to it that you can't help but touch working with clients. And, I think that one of the things that I think from that aspect is that a lot of people are talking about mindset now, which is very important. But what I fear is happening and what I see is happening is that it's becoming an it word.
Yeah.
It's coming kind of cliche. And people aren't really understanding what that means. So can you share with us exactly how important is mindset into growing your business and really creating a stable brand that lasts?
Well, a part of your mindset is really having a clear idea of where you're going. And I think a lot of times when we are miscommunicating our brand message, it's because we don't know where we're trying to go. We have a big picture idea of what pretty life looks like, but we haven't sat down and strategically said, this is what I want to do for this person in this amount of time, and this is the type of life I want to create doing it. So we don't stick to it because we haven't put a plan into place. So once you can drill down your goals into a day-by-day, week-by-week, action-filled plan, then it becomes a lot easier to focus on the things that need to be done. But when we just flying by the seat of our pants and we got this big old vision and we haven't worked backwards to figure out what we need to be doing every day, when things don't go our way, it's a lot easier to fall off course. It's a lot easier to say, you know what, this ain't working, I just give up. Or I'm going to try something else because I don't like the way this is happening. But if you can work backwards from where you're trying to go and identify those places where sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes things are not going to go, but that also gives you an opportunity to readjust the path. So if things are not working, then you can better see areas of opportunity instead of just giving up. So you have to have that type of mindset, and that's hard in business. And I deal with creative business owners. So they are very creative in nature, and a lot of that takes time. It takes time, and it's a learned skill that you have to commit to. It's not natural. It's not something that's even easy, but you have to be willing to commit. So knowing that I'm going to commit to this plan, when things get hard, I'm going to have contingencies in place so that I can say, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. If this doesn't go my way, then I'm going to use this process. But you got to start by breaking that big old plan down into itty bitty steps so that you can work it out. And that keeps your mind in a good place, and that keeps you in a place where you can actually be productive in your business. So our mindset a lot of time has to do with us just not planning, and us getting frustrated because we didn't plan.
Right. Well, I will say this, I work with both creatives and analytics because that's how my brain is set up. So I have to attract and in doing so, I often attract women that are multifaceted and have either multiple businesses already, or that's their desire to have multiple businesses. And it's so important what you just said, to really have the strategy behind it, because when you have somebody that already has this humongous vision in regards to what they want to do, they already see the empire, they already see the conglomerate, which is the name of my Facebook group there, the Group Conglomerate. But when they really have that, it is hard, for them to say, okay, in this season, for these 90 days, this 6 months or whatever, I'm going to focus here. Right. I'm going to focus here. I'm going to have strict intentions on what I'm trying to accomplish right here in this space, in this moment. And then next 6 months, I'll focus here and I do this in order to make sure that things are set up correctly and that they flow properly. It's hard. So I was just saying that it's hard for both sides, even people that get how to break things down small, because I think it's really because they don't want to deal with the unknown.
Yeah.
You know, and business is made up of nothing but
tomorrow. You just have no idea.
Exactly. And so really, you know, understanding that and not beating themselves up, which is something I want to definitely address, because I feel like women do that a lot more. As soon as something does not go the way they planned for it to go, or they thought it was going to go, I mean, it's like they just completely beat themselves up. They get in a standstill and they don't know what to do next. Is that your experience too?
And I think it's because we're more passionate, and I won't call us more passionate. We think with our hearts. Okay. And I think that's safe to say that we're created like that, though. It's not anything wrong with it. We're created to be nurturing, emotional beings. That's why God put us here. So it's easy for us to use our hearts and not our minds. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, your heart will lead you. It's just like a relationship. Your heart will have you with the wrong one, but I love him, but he ain't no good for you.
You'll be with him for 15 years
because you love him. Mm-hmm. But your mind, if done properly, will show you the objective part of what you're trying to do. So I always tell women, let's think objectively. And in order to think objectively, we've got to have that planning piece that I talked about. If it's not on black and white, I have to teach us how to be black and white. And I know they say you should always leave a little room for gray, but sometimes you just can't. If you're that emotional in your decision making, then you have to teach yourself how to read in black and white. And I say that from experience, because when I first started, I was very emotional in my decision making, emotional in my thought process. If I didn't like it, I didn't do it. But everything that you need to do is not going to feel good in order to get you to where you need to be. Oftentimes, it's the exact opposite. The things that you need to do in order to help you accomplish your goals are the ones that are the most uncomfortable. But that's how you grow. And if you think emotionally, then you don't allow yourself to grow into the purpose that was designed for you, because the things that are best for you oftentimes take you outside of that comfort zone. And I know we hear that all the time, that life is on the other side of your comfort zone, but it's the absolute truth. If you continue to do the things that you're just always doing every day, just because it feels good and this is what I'm used to, then you won't get anywhere. So a part of that is just that we're emotional beings, and we have to learn how to think with our minds and not with our hearts.
Right. And I mean, you hit that on the head. I always equate it to the whole thing, just like with food. You know, a lot of times the things that are the best for you don't taste good.
They don't taste good.
And I mean, this is coming from an anti-vegetable person. Like I like corn and green beans, and that's about it. But I do eat other stuff now. Like I haven't opened myself up to eat other vegetables because I know it's good for me, right? So Stevie is on fire in this chat. She is loving this conversation, right? So she is like, woo, yes, that focus thing can be hard, but it's so worth it. I have put in more focus this year than any other year, and I have definitely seen the difference and have been able to be strategic and not all over the place. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so key. And take it from me, because in my mind, I already know about 6 projects that I want to do.
I'm working on 15 different things.
Exactly. But I have to be very strategic. You know, my calendar is like bananas in regards to the color coding. Right now, who work on this tomorrow, you know, like, so that I can stay focused and get something done, because it is so true. When you're kind of all over the place, nothing gets accomplished. You'll look up out, 6 hours later and nothing is done because
you're still working on the same thing, because you're just everywhere. You're doing so much that you're not doing anything. Exactly, Stephen. A confused mind does nothing. You do absolutely nothing. You're just running around in circles.
Right.
And you're just busy being busy. But
Right.
you're not busy being effective.
Right. And this is why I have always been a fan of planners. I mean, I've always from young, as soon as I knew what a planner was, like I was all over it. In our ways, because it's like if it's not written down, if it's not in my Google Calendar or written in this planner, it does not exist.
It don't exist. It does not exist. And I even train my 12-year-old. My 12-year-old is my daughter. She's at a place now where she watches and she replicates what mommy does. Mm-hmm. So the feedback that I hear from her at school is always, who got the haircut first? That's cute. It's always, she's so strategic. And I'm like, well, I train them to be that way because by nature, I'm not. I just want to go everywhere. Like you said, you got both parts. You're analytical and you're creative. I'm the same way. I have shiny object syndrome. I will see something and be like, ooh, I'm going there. So I have to be that deliberate about it. And I also have to hold other people accountable to that schedule. My clients are held accountable to my schedule. My clients are made to know that I don't care if the world is coming down. You need to make sure that you are deliberate in honoring your schedule and mine. If there's extra time that's needed, it's a process by going about doing so. And I tell them to have the same type of environment with their clients as well. So, it just does not. How do you get rid of folks?
Oh, I'm about to do it right now. Don't worry. Keep on going. Don't even worry about that. I was already on it. Like,
help me. Oh, goodness. Y'all see? That's the shiny object syndrome. Y'all saw that stuff in the comments, and my mind was just like, I couldn't even talk to you because I was trying to figure out how to get rid of him.
I mean, look, I was already like, and banned. I'm all about the Black Party. People know I already do disclaimers before people can even come in my seat if I do questions, all of that, because I don't play them games.
Yeah, we're not playing it.
We're talking about party.
Yes, be deliberate about the schedule and hold people accountable to it. A part of, especially a lot of us that are in creative business, or just women in general, right? We got other things going on. I am the executive pastor for my children and youth ministry at church. I have my business. I'm a wife and I'm a mother. So just that in itself
right
is enough. So I have to even be deliberate about my children and my husband and my church. My time is my time. So I've got you in a box and you have to stay there, because if you get out of your box, then I'm not effective. And if I'm not effective, then it affects you. So I have to put people in their boxes. And of course, there's flexibility, but maintaining that integrity about my schedule so that everybody else that's around me, I can be effective to them. Because if you allow people to manage your time for you, then you become unproductive and ineffective in the things that you're trying to do for them.
It's so true. You have to set those boundaries. You have to have boundaries. And everybody knows that I'm the queen of talking about there is no box, but that is in the case of who you're supposed to be. Case of setting boundaries, because boundaries are very necessary. Because if not, people won't respect it. People will be calling you, and I fell victim to that because I am very passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do. That I didn't have any boundaries, so people would be inboxing me 9 o'clock at night, or everybody knows I'm a night owl, right? And so I'm up working. So people
assume that's their time,
right? And people would start, messaging me on Facebook, and I got a quick question, and all these different things, and then I would end up spending time talking to them that I wasn't really doing what I was up to be doing, So you have to be able to set those boundaries and respectfully decline to speak at this time and say, but hey, I have time this date, let's talk about how can I assist you. And I think that a lot of times as women, we do struggle with that because we do want to help. You know, it's not because we want to be ran over, but we genuinely want to help, you know, help people and stuff like that. So I get it, but I had to start doing it. And it definitely changed the trajectory of my business too.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, okay, well, people know, oh, she's about her business, but it opened up space for me to really be able to be effective, like you said, in other areas.
Wanted to do, absolutely. And you know, as a woman, we spend so much time taking care of everybody else, and we carry that burden of, oh, I can't do anything for myself. And a big part of that is knowing that it is absolutely necessary for you to have that personal time so that you can be effective for other people.
Yes.
So night owl, I'm an early bird. I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
And I'm just going to bed.
No, but at 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
That's my time. I will talk to you.
Up and I'm going to bed.
Exactly. You have to teach people how to treat you. And it commands a level of respect. And it also commands a level of accountability, because it helps people to understand that when I say I'm going to do something, this is what it is. We're going to stick to that. And it also says that when I ask you for something, the requirement and the expectation is that you do the same. So it just makes a really good business relationship all the way around.
Right. So yes. So I go to sleep somewhere between 3 and 4 normally every day. And so it's funny because I struggled with how to design my business, because for me, I'm more productive and I'm more creative at night. I mean, I've always been like that. It's just who I am. But this is where I talk about the box doesn't exist, but trying to fit in the box of what regular business looks like, I kept trying not to do that, because, you know, I have to have my schedule open at 8 o'clock so that people can contact me and blah, 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 you know, all that stuff, because, you know, and especially coming from working with government, because I was in government work, you know, So coming from that aspect of things, working for state and city government, it was like, okay, I have to have the 8 to 4:30, you know, blah, 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 all this kind of thing. And I was miserable. Like the first part of my business, because I was just like, I don't want to even be awake. Why am I talking to these people on the phone? And it wasn't until I was like, it's okay, I can design my business however I want to. Now I don't take any appointments. The earliest appointment I take maybe is 10 o'clock, but normally it's 11. If you go to my schedule right now, the earliest you will see is 11 o'clock. And that's because I don't go to bed until, you know, like I said, between 3 and 5. And so then by the time I'm waking up, I'm not one that sleeps long anyway. So, but I'm normally not getting up till 9:30, 10:30, you know, like depending on what my schedule has going on it. So it's been so much better, Kae. Like,
yeah, you know, and I struggle with that and I did it for maybe a year with that normal 8 to 5 type schedule. And I was the same as you. I was miserable. And I kept thinking to myself, now, Jesus, I left work because I didn't want to work this kind of schedule. But then now I'm at home and I find myself working all the time because I've made myself available to clients at a time that I really didn't want to be available.
Right.
And then I find myself working in my productive time at a different time of the day, which means there's no time in between.
Right.
And I felt guilty when I started taking clients at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I felt guilty. I felt like I was going to miss something. I felt like people were going to judge me and not take me seriously because I wasn't open at 8 o'clock. And it wasn't until I finally realized that most people don't want to talk to you at 8 o'clock in the morning either. And if I'm dealing with another entrepreneur, she likely didn't go to bed or she's not getting her day started. So we match, you know, we good. And it just works. I used to feel bad about taking clients at like 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, ooh, it's late.
Yeah. You know, it works because, you know, a lot of my clients too are still doing both. You know, they're working their 9 to 5 and then trying to build their businesses. So the best time for them to talk is at night, you know. And so for me, on certain nights, I have late nights, like 2 times a week where I offer like 8 and 9 o'clock appointments. which has been great because that has opened me up to international clients as well. Because, you know, depending on where they're at, 8, 9 o'clock here, because I'm in the East Coast time zone, you know, is the afternoon for them, you know, so they're like excited that I'm open, you know, that I'm able to take those appointments and actually talk to them, you know, face to face via video. And that doesn't have to all just be like emails, you know, conversation. And so yeah, so Stevie says, I feel that nothing is normal about my business, but it works for me and my community. Exactly.
Absolutely. It's your normal.
Right.
Like what's the show, The New Normal? It's your normal. Right. So I try to discourage those words of normal and this is how it should be. It can be whatever you want. You just have to create it and work it. There's no right or wrong way to do your business. I even had to train my husband to that because my husband is still a corporate guy. So he works, he gets up, he goes to his corporate job, he does whatever he does. Now his schedule isn't correct at work, like he works late hours. But he just felt like you should be open during business hours. I was like, business hours are what I make them. So my business. So I choose the hours and those officially become my business hours. So that was even a work in progress, just getting him to understand that business is what I make it.
Right.
And it doesn't have to fit into what you think it should be.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, I think about some of the restaurants here where I'm at. We have one that is known for their breakfast, even though they sell, you know, lunch and different meals, but they're known for their breakfast. And they open up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And they're closed by 3. And for the longest time, people would be like, but it's, you know, it's 5 and I want Tommy's. Like, why can't I go? Because they close at 3.
Time to close.
It was open at 5. But you know what? People adjusted because the food is good, the prices are good, and and they want to go. And so the line is normally wrapped around the building. I'm telling you, like all the time, like no matter what time you go, you're not walking right in, right? Because they've built the value of what they offer and set the parameters. Like if you want this business,
yep, you gotta do what I ask you to do.
Exactly. So definitely, and I think that it is a struggle. You know, a lot of times, you know, you have to be strong in your stance of saying this is what it is. You know, so.
And if you can't work in that, then I'm sorry that we didn't work out together, and be okay with saying,
right.
No, it's okay to not help someone. It's okay if they didn't fit into what your business model did. And I think a lot of times we do that too. We try to make our business model work for other people just to have a coin, and it's not worth it. Like, be okay with saying, okay, you know what? Maybe we're just not a good fit for one another. And I'll even suggest somebody else. I'm like, you know what? You should try so-and-so because they might work a little better for you. Right. So I still value, and if that doesn't work out, they still may even come back and be like, you know what, Kae? I'm willing to do whatever. Perfect example. I had a young lady out in New York called me about a branding project. Now, in her mind, branding was supposed to cost one thing. It was one of those that didn't realize so much went into it, and it was supposed to have this cost on it. It was supposed to happen in this amount of time. And I told her, I'm so sorry, I don't work like that. You know, if we're going to work together, then this is the process, and these are the things that are going to be required in order for you to be a good fit for the service. And if you feel like it's not going to work, then no problem. You know, we won't work together. So we didn't work together. And she went on to get some work done by somebody else and emailed me maybe a month later and said, I'm so sorry, Kae. I hope you'll still work with me. I went off and I did it my way and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And I trust that you'll take care of me based off of the information that you gave me in our short time together. Please forgive me. And if you're willing to work with me, I'll do whatever I need to do to make sure that I get your service. So it's not always the first go round that come back. So,
and this, I mean, that's definitely true. That has happened to me as well more than once. But this is where I'll often talk about the power of collaboration and the power of standing in your own power or your it factor, as you know, Stevie talks about. Okay, bye, Kae. Thanks for joining us. She has to.
Bye. Thank you, hon.
Bye, Kim. I'm calling her Kae. Bye, Kim. But you have to be able to stand in your own power and know your own worth, and to know that by referring someone to someone else does not diminish your value and your attributes. And so, you know, I've done that. I've done that recently, you know, to be able to say what you're looking for in my situation is outside of the scope of what I do, you know, what I actually know. And so, and I'm okay to say that, you know, I'm a genius in my zone. Like, and what you want,
my lane, I can't help you.
Right. What you want as a part of your brand is not my lane. And so, yes, I can help you with one piece, but I can't help you with that piece. So if you want an all-inclusive situation, let me refer you to so-and-so. And so I did. And so whether or not they've connected or what they're doing, I don't know, but that's not my concern. But like you said, I added value, but in doing so, I'm still going to work on some other projects, you know, with the same client, because she respected the fact that I was open and honest about my capabilities and my scope of how my business runs. And so we can't be afraid to do that, you know, and you need to build a network of people. You need to build resources and have those collaborations so that you are able to offer that, you know, extra step instead of being like, well, I can't work with you. All right, then. Yeah. You know, it was nice talking to you, but they like, dang, like, where
nothing? You can't give me nothing?
Right? Because they don't know where to go or what to do. But when you can say, oh, well, look, you can go here to this person, I think that they will be a great match. Or even for people, you know, I get people that come in and they want social media management, for example. Right now, that's not one of the services that I offer. Maybe in the future, not myself, but someone else on my team might do it. But right now, I don't offer, you know, social media management. I help you strategize, get your visuals together so that you can
do it for you.
Right. So you can go be great on social media, but I'm not about to manage your social media. Right. But I know an awesome social media manager.
Right.
What she does. Let me give you her information. Here you go. Right. I'll even introduce y'all, you know, like, but you have to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So definitely. So Stevie says she thinks that it makes you even more valuable when you refer people out, and she tries to do so as much as she can. You do, because then it's like at the end of the day, people trust you more.
Yep. Because
they know you're not going to just attempt to try to just do anything. And if it doesn't work, that, you know, if y'all can't work together, they know at least she's going to give me something or attempt to try to point me in the right direction.
Absolutely. And maybe next time. There's always a next time. There's always a future. And when you win somebody like that, it's hard for them to go somewhere else. You kind of stay in that top of mind area with them where they'll figure out a way to work with you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so, you know, so it's so funny because, you know, when you do get people and they come and they want to work with you, but then because I get that sticker shock situation too. And I really don't even feel like my sticker is high. So, but it still happens, you know, people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know all that. And I'm like, okay. And, you know, they go off and they try to do something. For me, I'm always open and honest with them to let them know that my business is in a growth spurt, I guess would be how I would call it. So I can't promise when you come back
it's gonna be the same.
Exactly. And I think that I struggled with that before because my price recently went up, probably like a couple months ago. And I had people that had came before at the lower price, then they came back and I was like, well,
stand your ground.
This is what the price is now. And you know, and it was really hard, you know, to do that because it's like you feel like, oh, I quoted them this, you know, but it's been 3 months. But you know, but still it's like, but
I always put a time limit on those.
Yeah.
You want to come back? Okay, this quote is good for 72 hours.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I do. I started doing that now because the new management system that I use for sending out quotes and stuff allows me to put a due date on it. Yep. And so I do say that, and I even put it in the wording to say it's good until this date. And and after this date, you would have to resubmit for new pricing, which has made it easier to be able to say, well, I'm sorry,
the cost for you walking away just went up.
Right.
And that's not an indictment on anybody that decides that they can't afford the service in that particular moment, but it adds value to your service. Right. And I can't promise that I'm going to be available, especially from a freelance standpoint. Absolutely, expertise and experience does go up. So, I mean, the price of poker goes up. If you want to play, you gotta pay for it. But I can't guarantee that I'm going to be available. You have to take advantage of this right now. If you want it and it's important to you, then you've got to make a decision. We as women, we don't like to make decisions. Right. We like to think about stuff. Oh, let me think about it. Let me weigh my options. And I respect that. But I cannot block off my time with your thoughts.
Right.
Because this is business.
Right. And I can't pay my bills with your thoughts.
Either. Right. So if you come back and I'm not available, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm honest with people. I fill up quickly. That can connect the scopes, groups, blabs, books until. Yeah. And that's what, and that's a good point, Stevie. When people come to me and they have that price objection, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that high, especially from a coaching standpoint. My first response to them is, okay, if you can't afford the one-on-one service, there are several things on my blog, on my website that you can go and utilize for much cheaper cost. But to have me sit with you personally to walk you through these things, there's a price for that. And until then, you can connect with me on Periscope. You can connect with me on Instagram. You can connect with me on Twitter. I'm always giving away free information. Get as much as you can. And then once your finances are in a place where you can better afford it, then I'll be more than willing to entertain that conversation with you again. But I tell people, because we have those conversations, I don't want to give away too much on social media. You better give it away, because that will leverage you being able to say, I have free stuff for you here.
Right. Definitely. Oh my gosh, this conversation could go on and on. I can't believe it's already almost been an hour. Like, we only have 7 minutes.
Oh,
wow. And I don't feel like it at all. This has been a great conversation. And so I want to let everybody know too that Babes Who Brand is going on tour.
Yeah.
So yes. So the first stop is actually not this Saturday, but next Saturday, March 12th in Hampton, Virginia. And at each one of the tour stops, I am being joined by a Babe Who Brands to speak. And so we will be going to Houston, Texas.
Yes.
And Kae will be my Babe Who Brands at that location. And so she will be sharing, and she gonna get into talking about monetizing your brand.
Yes.
We touched on today, because I'm like, I'm sorry, you got to come to the Babes Who Brand. So the Houston stop is July 16th. And so we'd love for you to join us there in Houston. You can go over to Eventbrite, and the tickets are already on sale. So it is limited space, because we are keeping this intimate. We're working with a small group of women entrepreneurs that are serious about creating and expanding their brands. And that's my vision for these workshops. So I'm keeping it to 30 women, 25 general admission seats, and 5 VIP. And so with the 5 VIPs, you actually get a 2-hour mastermind with myself to sit down and talk about your actual brand as a group. We'll go around the table, round robin style, and really give you some strategy and some plans to take your brand to the next level. So it's going to be awesome. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I put it together, but I got women on this tour with me. I'm so excited. Like, every woman that I reached out to said yes. And the only one that was not able to be a part of the tour was because she already about to be all over the place, and we just could not make the schedule work. But it was not because she didn't want to be on the tour. So I'm just blessed. This is what comes from collaboration and in your own power, and knowing what you bring to the table. People don't mind working with you.
Oh, Stevie, I wish you could be here too.
But before we go, I want you to definitely let people know what you have going on, because I know a lot of great things are coming out of the lab over there with UK.
Yeah.
Let people know how they can stay connected with you, to get some of that great information on Periscope and on your blog and stuff.
So I am Kae Whitaker literally everywhere. If you connect with me on Facebook, it's Kae Whitaker. If you connect with me on Twitter, it's Kae Whitaker. Instagram, Pinterest, Periscope. I mean, everywhere. It's Kae Whitaker. Most active probably on Instagram and Twitter. Those are probably my two most favorite spots, but you can connect with me anywhere at Kae Whitaker. Some of the things I've got coming out, I've been working on this gosh darn planner for about 6 months now. Finally in production on that bad boy. It should be here next month. I'm so excited. Yay. So that's...
I can't wait.
So we're going to help you plan your life in this planner.
Ever since she told me about that, I've been in her inbox. Like,
it ain't out yet. I promise you, you'll get the email when it gets here. So that should go on pre-sale at the end of the month. And what else is happening in the Kae Factory? Oh, I've got a boutique that we're getting ready to start. Kae is hitting us probably at the end of the month too. We're going through building the site out now. The blog is always there. We're always updating it with more information. So just if you can find me at Kae Whitaker, just connect wherever you can, wherever you feel most comfortable, and I will definitely be there.
Awesome. And what is your website?
KaeWhitaker.com is the website, and the blog is just KaeWhitaker.com/the BBB. If you go to the site and click on blog, it'll take you directly to the blog.
Awesome. Well, again, I say thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, you're my actual first guest, because episode 2, but my first initial episode I just did by myself. And
thank you, Stevie.
My first special guest, so I'm excited. Thank you for joining me.
I love it, and I like Blab. I like Blab more than I do Periscope. I just got to figure out how to get all of this together.
Yes, I love Blab, and so this is where I plan to dominate in 2016. I like having conversations. I like to talk, so this Blab rocks for that.
Yeah, this is nice. I really like this. I'm gonna have to figure this out.
I'm glad I could introduce you to something.
Thank you.
I feel like Kae always be introducing me to stuff. Finally.
Yeah, I have been running from it. Like I said, I've only done it once, and I'm just like, God, there's just something else I have to learn. I think I tried to start one, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm just gonna come back to it. But this was fun. I like it.
It is. I enjoy myself. So next week, I want to let everybody know, next week we are having a time change. So make sure that you are staying connected. Instead of being at 12 p.m. Eastern, it will be at 2 p.m. Eastern, because we're going to have the awesome Sade Wayadu as my special guest. And everybody knows, she's a doctoral student. And so I had to make it work for her schedule. So we're going to do it at 2 p.m. because I wanted to have her on the show. So make sure you join us next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, while I have the same type of candid conversation around business and branding with Sade Wayadu. So I'll see you next week, everyone. And I enjoy you, and I thank you for joining me. Bye.